and welcome to World Civ Weekly News. I'm Ciolino.
And I'm Ollnau. This week's topics are the Ferguson, Missouri grand jury decision, U.S. immigration reform, and U.S. involvement with ISIS and Iraq.
We open up the news with the upcoming decision of the grand jury in the Ferguson, Missouri case of the shooting of Michael Brown by Officer Darren Wilson. The jury will decide whether or not to indict and charge Officer Wilson with the murder of Michael Brown. This case has been racially charged, and no matter what decision the jury makes, there are fears of public outbursts and rioting. The people of Ferguson and neighboring towns are preparing by stocking up supplies like food and water. There has even been a 300% increase in gun sales and shooting supplies. The National Guard and Missouri State Police are preparing, and more than 1,000 enforcement officers have been given more than 5,000 hours of training. Cities around the U.S. are also preparing for the verdict of the jury as well. Officials say they are ready, no matter what the jury decides. Now on to you, Jenna.
Next, we have the U.S. immigration reform. President Obama recently said he will act unilaterally on immigration reform through executive action as early as next week. This could come despite warnings from the newly elected Republican-controlled House and Senate. It is reported that the executive action would be threefold. First, to allow the parents of children who are American citizens to get documents that allow them to stay legally. Second, to protect illegal immigrants who came here as children. And third, to ensure that deportation is still the policy when it comes to convicted criminals. This decision could affect over 5 million people living in the U.S. illegally by keeping them from being deported and providing them with work permits. Republicans in Congress believe that legislation should be up to them and not the president. They are referring to the president's latest action as executive amnesty. They have threatened the president with a possible government shutdown like the one in 2013. Another government shutdown could affect millions of Americans, especially since it would come in December, right during the holidays. Now on to ISIS and Iraq.
Top military officials are meeting to consider deploying troops to the ground in response to the continued threat of ISIS in Iraq. General Martin Dempsey traveled to Iraq this weekend to meet with Iraqi officials to discuss the next phase in the fight against ISIS. If decided, U.S. troops could be deployed as early as 2015, ahead of the resurgence to take back parts of Iraq that are controlled by the Islamic State group.
Iraqi security forces are planning an attempt to take back several major Iraqi cities, including Anbar Province and Mosul, Iraq's second largest city. General Dempsey discussed the current 1,400 U.S. troops already in Iraq and expects that a possible 3,100 total troops could be deployed to aid and train Iraqi security forces. President Obama has repeatedly said that U.S. ground forces in Iraq would not be placed into a combat role.
Well, that's the conclusion of this week's World Civ Weekly News. I'm Ciolino.
And I'm Ollnau. Thank you for watching and have a great week.